3, 2,
One,
1.
2.
Yippee-Ki-Yay, mother.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Welcome to another edition of Indian Cinemaniacs.
No, this is Yippee-Ki-Yay, Mother Podcast, I believe.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Welcome to another edition of Yippee-Ki-Yay, Mother Podcast. What's going on, Mother Podcasters?
Hey!
Yo, yo, yo.
Yo.
Yo,
You guys, how's everything going? I think we got a few
I'm
sad
having a much
people
better
here.
night than you and Chris. I know that.
Orioles
Hey,
are
Cal,
down.
Megan.
Top of the fourth, 6-0. It doesn't look good. But Chris,
They'll
if they
come
come back, it's over. The momentum is going to
If they come
shift.
back from this, they will win the series.
They'll win the whole thing.
It's a bold prediction, my
The
friend.
whole thing. They'll win the
World
whole
Series.
thing.
They'll win this series at least.
And they'll win the World Series. If they come back from this, they'll do the whole thing. I'm just predicting that.
Probably.
If
John-
only they had Tom Brady.
John could tell the story about the last time we were at Camden Yards and the Red Sox got taken out by the Orioles. And the book is called Starry, Starry Night, if you'd like to read about it. Page 62. I keep bringing that up.
And I was
But-
emotionally scarred for the rest of my life.
All right,
To this
so-
day, it haunts me.
All right, so tonight we are going to, it's courtroom drama night, and we're going to talk about Drew's film called The Woman in Gold.
yep, Woman in Gold.
Woman in Gold.
2015.
And then we will do a round of what did you watch? And we don't have to spin the wheel tonight because Sean's the last one, and he's going to be bringing, I think, the verdict for the
Yeah.
last version of the
Rob, before we
courtroom
begin, can we
dramas.
just throw out a little something because of what's going on in Israel, and it's like pretty awful. And
Please.
our thoughts and prayers are with the victims of what's going on out there. It's pretty awful.
I
Both
stand
sides.
with Israel.
Both sides. Victims on both sides.
Well,
So-
yeah, but it started one side, so
Okay.
it did.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about the film, which is fascinating
appropriate,
because
isn't it?
it's a little appropriate. So,
Yeah.
Drew, go ahead. Why don't you?
Well, speaking of confronting Nazi levels of inhuman barbarism, tonight's movie is Woman in Gold, starring Helen Mirren and Ryan Reynolds in a surprisingly effective dramatic role. This movie is from 2015. It is based on the true story, and the characters in the movie are all their real names and everything. Maria Altman was a woman who fled Austria when she was a young, newly married woman and came to America because the Nazis were making it harder and harder for Jews to have lives and businesses and own property. And what happened was everything that was in her family's apartment was stolen. And they were a family that had a lot of famous fine art, including a really beautiful piece of work by Gustav Klimt, sort of an Austrian national painting hero. Anyway, it's known as Woman in Gold, but really its name is Portrait of Adele Bloch-Bauer, which is Helen Mirren's character's aunt. And the Nazis stole it, and it ended up in a museum in Austria, in Vienna. And she decides that that's wrong, and she wants to get it back. And the movie is about how she hires her lawyer, played by Ryan Reynolds, Randall Schunberg, to fight across many courtrooms and justice systems and ideas about memory and honestly confronting the past to make what I think is a very effective, true story about these kinds of issues. And I wish it wasn't quite as topical as it has turned out to be. But I've seen this movie a couple of times, and I really enjoy it. And I'm curious to know what you think of it, because you can react to it in a lot of different ways, as a drama, as a courtroom drama, as a historical drama, as something that has a lot to say contemporary about contemporary events. So what do you guys think?
I'm going to say this right off the bat. When I talked about courtroom dramas, you're right. This is actually a drama. I would not consider this a courtroom drama. Not that I didn't like the film, and not that I didn't like everything that was going on in the film.
It went to lots of courts.
A lot of mediation was happening, or arbitration or
Arbitration.
something. There was a lot of stuff going on in courtrooms, but I would not have called this a courtroom drama. I'm not saying I did. Like I said, I'm not
So you're saying you don't consider the United States Supreme Court a courtroom? Interesting.
when I
Jonathan
think of
Price
court-
playing Rehnquist.
When I think of courtroom dramas, I think of, like we just did, the
Music.
one, the one with Al Pacino,
Justice for
and
All.
Justice for All, where something big happens. I understand something big happened in a courtroom. I'm not saying that, but like A Few Good Men, that scene with Jack Nicholson, or in The Verdict we're about to see. There's a lot of courtroom drama that happens in there. Again, that's the only criticism I have of saying this is a courtroom drama, because you're right. It's actually a drama. All the things that you listed, it's historical, and it's the stuff that I didn't know about until I saw this, and I was fascinated by what the hell was going on here. I enjoyed it, but I think it wasn't quite the courtroom drama I was expecting. I was expecting Ryan Reynolds to have like a big scene where he confronts somebody other than the Supreme Court, which was very calm and everybody was
Usually
quiet.
is.
You're right. So, and
Well, that's a fair take on it. That's part of why I picked the movie, because I think it is a more realistic depiction of how courts actually work.
Oh, 100%.
And this is an extraordinary case. So it's not like, well, would I rather watch a murder case being prosecuted in an Al Pacino movie versus go downtown and sit and watch one? I mean, sure, Al Pacino is going to be more dramatic, but the justice in this movie is ultimately very quiet, and that's the way that the movie ends, which I think is really good. And I thought, and it's true. I mean, this man who was not ever in his entire life as a lawyer thinking he'd argue at the Supreme Court actually did and won. And it's to me, it's very dramatic, but it's not the flashy A Few Good Men, any of that kind of stuff, which I totally enjoy. But that is actually part of why I picked it, because it was dramatic in a different way than you might expect.
yeah,
Can I ask you a question, Ralph?
yeah.
Would you consider 12 Angry Men a courtroom drama, even though they're never actually in the court?
That's a good question. No, I would not. I would not.
Because that was going to be my second choice.
But I can understand why you asked that. And again, I'm falling into the trap of courtroom drama. Perry Mason gets somebody to slip up and this is the guy. And that's on me. But you're right, 12 Angry Men, in hindsight, I wouldn't call a courtroom drama.
Well, it doesn't pass the architecture test that you're talking about. It's not in the right kind of room, and I get that.
It's not about the room, it's about what happens in the room. It's about Primal Fear is one of those films. I think is a good courtroom drama based on, and I'm falling into the trap of it's the drama. It's that doesn't, listen, let me just say this. I love sitting in courtrooms and watching what goes on in courtrooms, traffic court, whatever. I've been on a jury.
Too.
I just love the process of what goes on. I could sit there and watch it. That's why I love Court TV. Court TV was amazing. And to sit and watch trials like that. So I understand that what goes on in A Few Good Men and what goes on in these other things doesn't really happen in real life. But having said that, when we talk about courtroom dramas, I was expecting a little more drama. Courtroom drama, not just drama like what was going on in the show. And you have Ryan Reynolds in there, and he definitely played against his type for sure.
Yeah, that was a problem for me.
No, I'm glad he wasn't the smarmy.
I couldn't buy him 100%. I wish they'd have gotten somebody else. But to me, that was the main weakness of the film. Other than that, it was very compelling.
The fact that he was too flashy. What was it about him that?
He's just
really
not Ryan
I wouldn't say
Reynolds.
he was flashy.
No, I'm saying, but why Ryan Reynolds?
I think he was underplaying.
Yeah, he was definitely underplaying.
Well, if you
I
see who
think
the
he
real,
was
who the real
underplaying.
guy is,
He doesn't look
real
anything
guy's
like the
kinda
real guy.
nebbish.
Right.
Yeah.
He doesn't look anything like him.
Yeah, I think, what I felt was that about Ryan Reynolds is that he was underplaying to say, look, I'm not being me. I just saw it as a performance. But I really liked this film. It hit me on a couple of levels. To me, there were tons of fascinating issues. And it's sort of like the gallery museum that owned it, that had possession of it, I should say, could have ended up with it if they had just compromised. She was willing to let it stay there because, as one person says, this is the Mona Lisa of Austria. And it is a fascinating picture. And I was recently at the Baltimore Museum of Art, which has, everything from Matisse to Rembrandt and on. And I look at those portraits, there's some of the amazing portraits. That's what I really like at the galleries. And sometimes they know who the people are, and sometimes they don't. So it's interesting to see a picture, really fascinating portrait like that, and then you see the life and you see what happened to people. And, and it was really compelling in the sense that everybody else was looking at this as a work of art. But for Helen Mirren's character, it wasn't a work of art. It was her aunt. It was her aunt there, on the wall. It had an entirely different resonance to her than it did. And I found the Holocaust and escape story very compelling. And I really liked the setup of the family, in Vienna, and like their rituals, like it's Friday, I'm gonna play the cello. The Nazis are marching in, but why are we going to change? We're going to continue what we're doing. And that's like one of the first things they take from them, because it's a Stradivarius cello.
Right.
So it's and then they set a guy in there to watch them. They put a minder, a guard.
Well, that's, again, we're back to, I love that you snuck this in as a courtroom drama, but it's a really nice drama. It's a well done drama. All that stuff they're doing there is it's not wonderful, but it's good information to see.
And one thing I liked, it's sort of like, after the war, it was the Nazis. One thing that this film showed is that the anti-Semitism ran very deep.
Wow. Yeah.
And like pretty much it's like, oh, you're a Jew, she went that way. You know what I mean? And they were like berating the Jews and cutting the beards off at a train station, and everyone's watching and everything. And, just the casual cruelty. And
well, I think Daniel Bruhl's character, he's the journalist that helps them. He's a wonderful actor.
Yeah.
But he's one of the more fascinating characters to me, because he's someone, and this is set in the late 90s. So, not that long ago and not that long after the end of the war. And he's someone that there's a whole generation or even two of people in places like Germany and Austria that are grappling with the legacy of their parents. And he's very explicit about that at the end. He discovers, he tells them, I loved my father. He was wonderful. I also found out he was a really passionate Nazi. And what do I do about that? And it comes out in some of the dialogue is almost as on the nose as Indian movie song lyrics. That's, I'm not going to pretend, but he talks about how he's proud to be Austrian, and there are a lot of people who were Nazis, and then the war ended, and they didn't all go on trial. They didn't all end up in prison or executed or anything. They just faded back into society, like his father. And the generation that confronted it with terrorism in the 70s, or people who see a wrong and want to right it. Like, it's such a huge crime. Daniel Bruhl's character is driven by, this is something I can do. And I think that drives several of the characters, that this is something that I can do that can correct something that is very wrong. It won't give you back everything, but you know what? That is your aunt. That is your painting. And I thought that they did a nice job of scaling the movie without making it like a History Channel thing or making it an overwrought thing. Had any of you guys seen this before?
No.
I had seen it, yes. Okay. I'd seen it, but not in the movies. I'd seen it on a Netflix DVD. Do you remember when they used to give away those, DVDs?
They're giving them away now. They're giving them away, actually.
Yeah.
Chris and John, you guys
read them.
Nice.
John, what do you think?
I hadn't seen this before. Look, I think I like this movie. I like Helen Mirren. I actually like Ryan Reynolds in this. I thought it was a very interesting story, but thinking of it as a courtroom drama, I just don't, because when I think of a courtroom drama, I think when you think of a movie, a courtroom scene from a movie, what sticks out? Like Inherit the Wind, like Anatomy of a Murder, like Injustice for All, like A Few Good Men. To me, it's a courtroom drama because you think of the courtroom scenes in those films. You wouldn't think about the courtroom scenes in this film. You really wouldn't. It's everything else that surrounds it that was very interesting and compelling, and I enjoyed it, but I would never put this as a courtroom drama. I kind of felt the same way about Chris's movie, because there was, it seemed like there wasn't much. I guess like when you think about The Verdict, films like that, those courtroom scenes, even though a lot of the film is really compelling, those courtroom scenes really stand out. And you think of those scenes. I would never think of these courtroom scenes from this film, even though they were fine. But most of them were mediation anyway. It wasn't really a prosecutor defendant type thing. So from a courtroom drama, it really wasn't to me. But I did like the movie. I'd never seen it. It was a very interesting story. I didn't know it was a true story. You've seen so many movies about how evil the Nazis are. So to see it in this context of them stealing stuff like this, it's just another reason to hate the Nazis. Not that you needed another reason, but you know what I mean?
Well,
So
why
This
not?
finally pushed you over the top.
But yeah, that's it. Now I really hate them. So from that standpoint, I'm glad I saw it. I love Helen Mirren. I think she was great in this. But again, from a courtroom drama, I don't think of it as such. So that's my only. But I did enjoy the movie, so I'm glad I saw it.
All right, Chris, stop looking at TV. Your turn.
Yeah, no, I can't look at it anymore.
Nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to change.
Yeah,
Is it
it's
still
not
6-0?
Yeah.
Yeah, they keep putting like one or two guys on every inning, and then nothing happens. Anyway, but here's the thing: I really, really like this film. As I may have mentioned to some of you, I got my degree in history, and I found this to be really fascinating. Especially, and one, I had never even heard of this movie, so really enjoyed the fact that it kind of came nowhere for me. But one of the things I really liked about it was that it does talk about something that I was familiar with. In fact, I remember reading an article about Hermann Göring, who was head of the Luftwaffe, and was, a lot of people. He was trying to position himself as the successor to Adolf Hitler when that time came, and how he had one of the most amazing personal art collections in the history of man, because he had gone through and had his men raid not only private collections, but the Louvre and all these other things in Belgium and everything. So I had known about this. I had not actually heard about Woman in Gold, which, like you said, was actually renamed in a way to lessen its ethnicity for it, and so on and so forth. But I really enjoyed this movie. I would disagree. I do think of this as I'm going to say it's a legal drama, maybe not a courtroom drama.
That's a good
but
point.
I would still say this fits in the box of courtroom dramas, because I'm going to say it fits in the box of courtroom dramas because enough stuff happens. Yes, a lot of it's legal, it's arbitration, but it's realistic. It takes a real good way. I mean, I've watched, court TV, and nothing nearly as cool ever happens on court TV as we see in the movies, because it's the movies, right? So for me, I mean, the courtroom scenes were, I like the fact that they were pretty low key. Do you know what I mean? They weren't these huge over the top kind of like crazy, and most of them were like more like almost like hearings and motions and things like that.
Yeah, mediation.
But isn't that so much of what's made up in the world of what do you call it?
But not when you mention a courtroom drama film. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
I understand, but I just think of it's a different kind of courtroom drama. It's definitely. I am not. Trying to be very realistic, but
I'm not upset that Drew brought this non-courtroom drama to the thing. I am saying I'm glad. Yeah, I know, because it really matters to you. But you snuck one in, but it's a good film to sneak in. So I'm not even complaining. I'm not complaining.
I mean, you certainly. I understand what you're saying as far as
I'm thinking of my cousin Vinny. I'm thinking of I'm going.
Well, I mean, I didn't sneak it in as not a courtroom drama. There were movies I considered that I was like, there really isn't enough courtroom stuff here. But the whole movie is about justice and moves through, several American courts and different things, and it's part of the process. But to me, the whole movie is suffused with Maria Altman's quiet, determined patience. And so even the big victories, they're quiet. I mean, there's a lot of clapping at the end when they win the arbitration, but it's the movie isn't full of like all these joyful things. And
it's not Rocky.
That's why I think the ending of the movie is, to me, as powerful as it is. I mean, first of all, Tatiana Maslany plays Helen Mirren as a younger woman, young Maria Altman. I love her. She's an amazing, beautiful actress in Orphan Black and lots of other stuff. But when when Maria Altman wins, and then she has to step away, and Ryan Reynolds goes to comfort her, and she's like, I thought I'd feel better because it righted a wrong, but it didn't heal everything. It can't give her back the Austria that she deserved to grow up and live in and everything. And then her walking back into her apartment that's now an office and sliding back.
Yeah, that was a good scene. That was a good
her
scene.
wedding, and seeing her aunt standing in front of the portrait itself and her smiling. It's just a beautiful ending.
Was
and
that Furia from Man of Steel?
Yeah, I was gonna say the woman who plays her name is Antje Trau. I think that's
didn't realize
amazing.
how beautiful she was.
She's gorgeous, and that's amazing casting. Yeah, she was Faora, who was one of Zod's
right hand gal.
Yeah, she's great in Man of Steel.
Yeah,
but
she didn't
fearsome.
look that beautiful.
No, in this she's really, it's really, I don't know, it's really striking. And also that scene really it really got me personally, because when I was 16, I went to Israel on a trip. It was a week in Poland, mostly touring death camps, and then 6 weeks in Israel. And the woman who ran the trip had run the trip, it's out of Baltimore, had run the trip for a number of years. And her mom had never come. And her mom came with us. And we went back to Katowice, which is a village in Poland where she had fled in the war. And we went to her apartment building. And we stood in the courtyard, and she pointed up to the apartment crying and said, "That's where I live." Wow. And then, a bunch of Polish women started throwing trash at us. But to see somebody go back where they needed to leave, and it was still a home for them. The movie rang very true for that, because it was quiet. And I mean, I felt privileged to witness that in person. And I felt like the movie really, really got that feeling. Plus, I mean, the whole cast of the movie is amazing. Like, really.
No, it's a wonderful film. I'm not questioning that one bit.
Oh, I don't think you are. It also reminded me of another film that is an excellent film that is not a courtroom drama, even though it's about similar themes. Have you guys ever seen Philomena with Judi Dench?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Irish girl.
Philomena. Yeah, Philomena is an Irish woman who's trying to find her son, who was taken from her when she was enslaved in Magdalen Laundry as an unmarried woman who got pregnant. And Steve Coogan plays the man who's trying to help her find him. And so it's traveling back in time and trying to figure out what justice would look like, and can you find my son, and all this stuff. And that's a big crying movie. I mean, it's really good, but it's also, an incredibly, well-known, excellent lead actress as this older woman looking for some kind of justice, but not necessarily always in the dramatic way that you might think. So I thought it was really special.
All right. Well, anybody want to say anything else?
Can I take
Is To Kill a Mockingbird a courtroom movie?
Yeah, I would
100%.
consider that a courtroom drama, because some of the most famous scenes are in the courtroom.
That's what I have to say too.
Sean, I'm not saying it is or isn't. I'm just curious.
Well, I just wanted to say something about anti-Semitism. I mean, other than that, I'm against it.
Wow, that's a bold statement.
I feel supported, Sean. Thank you.
No, I mean, it's like it's so
canceled
easy
for that take.
You get some mail.
It's so easy to say things like Hamas and Hezbollah and things like that. But I do a series of blogs called Grave Tales. Because I go around photographing graves, and if it's an interesting story, I write a blog about it. And there was a guy in Baltimore, Maurice Scheidekel. And he was a Jewish doctor. He was a rabbi. He was a journalist, and he was an author. And he wrote like fiction, nonfiction. And he has a book called Female Sexual Perversion, which is you can still get on Kindle. But he was an immigrant to this country. He came from Russia, and in 1905 he wrote this scathing thing about Christian guilt for anti-Semitism. And because there was a pogrom going on in Russia, and Jews were being killed and forced out of the country. And it was such a scathing editorial, and I included it in my story. And then I thought, man, some people, he's almost over the top. And then I'm thinking, this is 1905. The Holocaust hasn't even happened yet.
Yep.
And then you think, well, okay, now the Holocaust has happened. We've learned a lesson. But here's the thing. Between the time where I photographed Scheidekel's grave and wrote the story, hooligans went into that Jewish cemetery in Baltimore and put swastikas over a lot of the graves and all.
Jesus.
And, so it's so weird. Here's this guy, he was a Zionist, but he was an American, and he was passionate about anti-Semitism and everything. And here we are. This was like 2 years ago. and someone's putting swastikas on its graves. So, when I say, it's like, it's easy to look at Hamas. It's easy, they're villains and all. But,
Yes.
it's not that far, it's not that far in this country either. There's a lot of hate here, and it's totally irrational, so, that's my statement. It's sort of like, every time you make a derogatory joke or something like that, you're just feeding, if one of my favorite movies of all time, and I watch it at least twice a year, is Conspiracy, about the Wannsee Conference.
That's a great film. It's a great
where
film.
where the Nazis decided on the final solution.
It's a great
And
film.
the thing is, everybody says like racism and is ignorance. Everybody at that table, except one of them, had an advanced degree. So they were a very educated group of people. And those that survived the war, a lot of the people at that table did not go to jail at all.
Nope.
They were not punished in any way.
Nope.
And because the society was just rife with anti-Semitism.
Let's talk about movies because
But we did. We talked about Conspiracy.
All right. I just want to mention Ryan Reynolds, 2015. Okay, so he did a movie called Mississippi Grind. Have you guys seen that?
No, I did
That's a
not
nice
see that
movie.
one.
Ben Mendelsohn.
Ben Mendelsohn. It's
Yeah,
a poker
he's great.
movie, and again, Ryan
I
Reynolds
gotta see it.
very
You should,
subdued,
Sean.
and he's good.
Mhm.
Then he starts getting into Deadpool. Now it's the Deadpool starts happening, and now we're into the Ryan Reynolds billionaire. By the way, the guy is like got
He
production
sold two
companies,
companies for billions.
and he's got an advertising company that advertises Taylor Swift, and it's just like the guy is unbelievable. And I think he's got a whole cop family. His whole family's a bunch of cops, and he's a fascinating guy. And this is Van Wilder
Yeah.
from back in the day. So, all right. We
That's
don't need
why
to-
I had a hard time with him in this movie.
All right.
Van Wilder.
I know. So let's rate the film. Guilty or not guilty, John?
Courtroom drama, guilty. Really like the film, not guilty, right? That means I liked it, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Not
yeah,
guilty is good. Sean.
I'm split.
Not guilty is good.
Okay. Chris.
Not guilty all the way.
I'm hung jury. I'm like John.
I
I'm like
heard
John.
you were hung.
I'm like I didn't like it as a courtroom drama at all because there was no courtroom drama. I get there's courtroom drama when you're up against the Supreme Court, but I didn't get the big.
You were out of order.
You're out of order. But as a film,
I'm gonna find Chris a legal drama where for 2 hours they just file legal briefs.
Right.
Just pass out.
but as a film,
think
I
you'd like
really,
that.
I really enjoyed the film, and I'm glad Drew snuck this one.
Yeah,
in.
no, it was. I really liked the film. I'm glad I saw it. I mean,
So-
like I said, I'd never seen it, so that's.
Yeah.
I mean, I had no problem with the film.
Did you like the name of the opposing attorney in several of the courtrooms in America, Mr. Gould? I liked
I didn't notice
That's why you picked
That's awesome.
it. Yeah,
I thought it was Mr. Quattrucci.
and Jonathan Price.
There's
he
no
was good.
Quattrucci lawyers that I've heard of. Maybe there are.
No.
out
Yeah,
there.
that scene where
Some
Rehnquist asks
convicts.
him a question and Ryan Reynolds is kind of like, what? And then Rehnquist is like, I don't know. I realized
Yeah,
it's
that was
great.
Jonathan Price playing that was pretty
Yeah.
cool. That was an
awesome.
interesting. That was a good scene.
That was
all
a
right.
great role for a
Yeah.
good cameo.
Yep.
All right, so we don't have to spin the wheel because Sean's bringing the verdict next week. So let's
Yep.
just do a
That's
round
right.
of let's do a round of what you watch. Let's start with Sean.
Well, I got to say, I have not been watching movies. I've been more consumed, sadly, with sports. You know,
Well,
The
and
Ravens.
performing on YouTube.
Oh,
Yeah.
6-1. They scored a run.
yeah. All right. And I will say, yes, I've been, because I'm about to have a throat operation, I always say I'm a failed songwriter because I've succeeded at every kind of writing I've ever tried at except songwriting.
That's a bold
And if you-
statement you just made.
Yeah.
You
Well,
haven't read
I've
his
written
epic
books.
poetry.
Yeah, I've written books. Well,
Haikus?
and-
You haikus?
Well, no, I haven't tried that.
All right.
He has written letters to
You would
Penthouse, and
succeed
They
if you
have
did.
been published.
I've written letters to Penthouse. No,
You're not going to believe what happened to me.
This
Yeah.
actually
Dear
happened to me.
This
Penthouse.
actually happened.
I
I was
never
at the
believed I would
cemetery.
be writing. Yeah. So I have been. So I've been writing songs since the '80s. A girl broke up with me, and I decided to learn the guitar. So I wrote about 50 songs about how sad I was and how horrible it was.
They are
And
sad songs.
then in the '90s, I had an on again, off again girlfriend, and every time we broke up, I wrote a poem that I turned into a song. So I have about 300 songs that are all, You know, I have about 4 positive ones.
So you need to subscribe to his channel.
Yeah, go to my,
Yeah.
my YouTube channel, Sean Paul Murphy. But other than that, other than women, the Orioles have been depressing me a great deal in the last couple of days.
A couple of days. I mean, they had a good
It's
season.
been a great year
They had a
for
great
us.
season. They have a good season. They had a
They're the
great
only team that beat every team in baseball.
season. Yeah.
There you go. And now they're losing. So
Yeah.
there you go.
We'll
Chris,
talk about
what did
that
you
when I
watch?
get knocked out.
Other than the Orioles, Chris, what did you watch?
So I'll do real quick. I actually went to the movies and went to go see A Haunting in Venice with my son.
How was it?
It was, it was actually pretty good. It was definitely more of like, let's try to make it more scary.
Was it Tina Fey in that?
Yeah, Tina Fey was in it. She was fine. It was good. It's pretty standard Agatha Christie kind of, everybody locked in a house during a storm in Venice. Pretty good though, standard kind of mystery story, but good. I enjoyed it. He enjoyed it. So that's always nice to do.
Were you inspired by our Agatha Christie episode that we did
Murder on the Orient Express?
Yeah, that I brought that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess you were pretty inspired.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, but that all aside, I rewatched a movie from 2008, and I think it's time that this movie gets a critical reappraisal. Much like I loved it when it came out. Much like Starship Troopers and Eyes Wide Shut were two films.
Wait. Let me guess. Is it the remake of Get Carter?
No, that wasn't so late in 2008.
Thank goodness.
The Wachowski Speed Racer.
I think
that is a fantastic film.
I tried to watch it. Never started at the
film.
beginning. I couldn't
If
get
you
through
go
more than
back,
10 minutes.
No.
If you go back,
I've seen it a few times.
rewatch that movie.
No.
You rewatch that
It's
movie.
amazing.
You will see that in the 15 years that it has come out, how it literally changed the way movies are made.
I was at a thrift store.
I that movie the whole time. It's just so
and
sweet.
I get it.
I was at a thrift store. I bought 3. I had 3 DVDs in my Blu-rays in my hand, and one of them was Speed Racer, and I just couldn't pull the trigger. I just couldn't pull the
They
trigger.
were $2 a piece, and he only had $6.
No, it's not that. It was just like I had to make. I don't know why I didn't, but that's one I keep coming back to because of who directed it. And you guys are really, you push this film a lot. Drew does. Drew loves the film.
It's really good.
Great.
Yeah.
It is a
good Drew.
I'll watch it when
Visually-
one of you bring it to this show.
Visually incredible, but it wasn't good.
Listen, I don't like the cartoon. I didn't
love
bring
the
anything.
cartoon.
Yeah,
I
I was
didn't
a
bring
cartoon
anything
guy, too.
personal to it.
Yeah.
And the way that they told the story and the way that they mixed tones, frankly, if that was an Indian movie, it would have been exactly the same, except it would have had some incredible songs in it and been another 40 minutes longer.
That's
but
true.
I remember watching the movie. I felt like I wanted to eat the whole movie because it was so candy sweet and everything. But God, it's such a good film. It's definitely it's not for everyone, and I can see people finding it off-putting. But I thought it was spectacular. Now I want to watch it again. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, you're welcome. And like I'm saying, my whole thing is that at the time, I think people got blown away by the visuals. Like it overwhelmed people because it was like so computer generated and everything, and it didn't try to be realistic at all. And I think you can draw a straight line from that movie into like so many of the modern films.
Marvel.
Yeah,
That's Emil Hirsch, right?
It is.
Emil Hirsch.
Mm-hmm.
Emil Hirsch. Yeah, and the funny thing was, it was Iron Man that blew up, that totally torpedoed that film. Like that,
Because it had a good story and a great lead. Iron Man.
well, yeah, it did. But I even remember writing like a review out to some friends that I liked Speed Racer better then, and I still like it more than Iron Man.
Better than Iron Man?
Oh God, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Iron Man, I like Iron Man, but Speed Racer,
Iron Man was my favorite superhero movie.
it has real, honest to God emotion and heart, and it is 100% earned.
I should have bought the DVD.
And I love it for it.
Damn it.
And
It's
don't forget
mind-bending.
the score by Michael Giacchino is fantastic. Fantastic
way-
score.
Did they use the theme
work
song
in-
from the cartoon?
The
They
way
do a
they
little
work
bit,
it in there, the way they work it in there in bits, and when they finally bring it in this one sequence, I remember in the film, like in the movies, like I had a smile ear to ear. It just because I love.
I just put my Mach 5 on sale at my thrift store over there in Catonsville. Yeah,
I have 3 Mach 5s.
There you
You
go.
have a Mach
Drew,
5.
what'd you watch?
Well, first, I want to say there's an actor that I really have liked in many things. he's well known to most people as Dumbledore, I think.
Oh yeah.
But Michael Gambon, he died. I guess at this point a couple weeks ago. He was 82.
Oh my God.
I always thought he was a wonderful actor, but the role I remember him best in, and he's really only in 2 scenes in the movie, and it's his first scene in the movie. In The Insider, he is the tobacco exec who invites Russell Crowe back to his office because we don't trust you and you have to sign more stuff. And he has the scariest manicured nails.
So evil.
I've
so evil in that scene. Yeah,
it's great. It's a fantastic movie with fantastic acting, and he's one of those people that in that movie actually has a bunch of people in it that they're in one scene, like Bruce McGill screaming in the Mississippi deposition, and so Michael Gambon, a very long career.
The guy from WKRP is in that scene you're talking about.
Yes,
Andy from WKRP plays a lawyer in that scene.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I forget the actor's name, but he was Andy in the show.
Gary Frank.
Is that his name?
Gary Frank. I think you're right.
Gary Frank. Yeah. So Michael Gambon, he was a loss, and we've talked frequently about Julian Sands on the show, and that reminded me that John, I know you love watching anything that has penises in it, so you should check out Naked Attraction on Max.
Oh, you just took away my what I watched.
Of dick. Well, I'll let you talk about it.
You took it away.
I watched 2 gigantic movies.
2 gigantic penises in that show.
No, they're all different sizes.
I don't know. You took it away.
I watched Avatar 2, which is not good.
Yeah.
It has a lot of child endangerment and animal cruelty, so it kind of turns into whale wars in space by the end of it. And then the whole last sequence is basically they're in a boat and it turns over and they're all going to drown. And I was like, I saw this James Cameron movie already. It was bizarre. Right. And then I also saw The Creator, which is by the director of Monsters and Godzilla and Rogue One. And I really liked it. It's not got a lot of new things to say about AI and stuff like that, but it is an original science fiction movie. The world building is incredible.
That's what I heard.
The movie just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and it only cost $80 million, which is not a lot of movie. There's when I think of the movie, I think of the world that they built, and I think of a couple of the performances, and there's one sequence in particular that really feels like, well, if the rest of the movie was as moving and as creative as this, it would have been even better. But I was glad I saw it, and I was glad I saw it in the theater. And Avatar 2 might have benefited from me seeing it in the theater in 3D and all that kind of stuff, but it still had a crappy script, and so did the first one. So
Creators getting mixed reviews, like you're saying. There's some,
but they all talk about the world building.
They love the world building. They think the script kind of lost a little bit,
and they all praise the little girl who plays the AI.
Yeah, she's very good.
I heard she's very great. Good. Never done anything before.
AI is good. AI is
and Gemma
good.
Chan is great. And
AI is
good. They did a nice job.
AI is good.
Nice
all right, John.
I do want to say one thing. You were talking about Andy from KRP in the movie. Debbie and I were watching this. We're catching it late. Castle, the murder mystery show on TV, normal TV.
With Nathan Fell,
and like one of the first episodes, Coeur d'Alene was in it from 2001. And we're sitting there watching it, and Coeur d'Alene's there, and I'm like, Coeur d'Alene! Coeur d'Alene! Because I've never really seen him in anything else. And Debbie stops. She goes, "What are you saying?" I go, "It's the actor Coeur d'Alene from 2001." She goes, "I was really into it, and you ruined it." I go, "Well, it was Coeur d'Alene."
Open the pod bay doors, Hal. Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
Write a song about that.
Do that.
So listen, a couple of things. Brooks Robinson, Tim Wakefield,
oh my God,
and Russ Francis passed away.
Yeah.
Ralph and I met Brooks Robinson at Fantasy Camp. Very nice guy.
Such a sweetheart.
Yeah, he was great. Tim Wakefield was the knuckleballer for the Red Sox. 57 years old. Got diagnosed with brain cancer not too long ago, and he was gone. And his wife also has pancreatic cancer.
Oh my God!
So and Russ Francis, who was one of the greatest tight ends for the Patriots, died in a plane crash. He was a pilot. So rest in peace to all three of you. So I finished watching Breaking Bad, which was incredible. I watched.
It got better as it went on, right?
It did. I watched El Camino, which I thought everyone talks about Bryan Cranston, who was fantastic, but I really thought the whole anchor of the show is Jesse. So to see El Camino and see his story end, which I guess we could say on a happy note after all the horrible things that happened to him, I really did like it. A lot of people didn't like it. I liked it. Now I'm watching Better Call Saul. which I'm into a couple episodes into season 3. Much slower than Breaking Bad. Not a lot is happening, but Odenkirk is
stick with it.
I'm gonna stick with it. I'm watching it. I've been watching for the last 5 nights, so I'm not saying
7-1.
I don't like it. It's
Another
just
home
so
run.
much. It's so much slower than Breaking Bad. But to see, because he starts off
the Orioles are Breaking Bad right now.
a pretty good guy, and to know that he turns into Saul, you see the transformation happening. And the whole thing with the brother. It's just, I'm really enjoying it.
I don't want to say Better Call Saul is better than Breaking Bad, but man, is it close. And
well, he's so good because
he's good. And the woman, his girlfriend,
Kim Wexler, Rhea something.
Rhea.
They're all
Rhea.
good. And I like Mike's story too. Because Mike was one of the most compelling characters in Breaking Bad. Yeah. And the fact that really the show is broken up between Odenkirk and him.
Yeah.
I do like that. So I'm really enjoyed it. And I've told people, because as I've said before, I was hesitant to watch Breaking Bad. I would tell anybody, if you haven't seen it, binge watch it. You'll love it. And you'll love these other shows too. So that's what I was watching.
I just
and drugs are good. Drugs are good, right?
No, drugs aren't good. Oh, okay. I will never say that, Ralph.
I just have such dread in the show knowing how Mike dies, and it's so unfair.
Well, not only that, but you know how like Odenkirk's character, who is a good guy who wants to do the right thing most of the time. You know what he ends up becoming.
Jimmy the what? What's
Jimmy McGill. Jimmy Slippery
Slippin'
Jim.
Slippin' Jimmy. Yeah.
All right. Michael McKean's fantastic, by the way.
He's great.
Well, and also notice in a show with a lot of like incredible villains, like really incredible villains. I'm talking Breaking Bad now.
Oh yeah.
When they want to get to the ultimate villains, the worst kind of villains, the kind you have to build a machine gun into your car to take care of, it's Nazis.
Right.
So the show feels really true to life.
There's a guy, John. There's a guy that comes up in further down the road in Better Call Saul. That's just an amazing villain. You're gonna love it.
Better than Gus, because Gus is like the ultimate.
No, this guy. This anyway. All right. So Drew blew my load. Okay, I'm just sorry, buddy. That. Maria and I watch Love Is Blind on Friday nights, which is Netflix drops 3 of these. It's a terrible show, but
Debbie used to watch that.
I'm completely hooked on it because they're so vapid and stupid and all that. But it led me to the show on HBO Max called Naked Attraction from Great Britain. And John, you'd love this show. So what they do is it's a dating show.
Some of them.
And they have a woman that's going to be dating these people, men or women, doesn't matter.
Or a man looking for
doesn't matter. And they have 6. They have 6, basically not rooms, but 6 like places where people are standing. And the way the show works is they bring up the glass about halfway to show each body part, and it all starts for the men. It starts with the penis, and these people have to look and they have to judge these people based on their Johnsons and their boobs and their asses. It's unbelievable, and you'll never watch it. You will not watch 1 second of this show.
You know what?
The thing is, it's not good. That's the thing. We watched the first episode.
Oh no, it's not good at all. But it
made me feel bad.
It's fascinating.
Just the whole thing.
It is fascinating.
Oh yeah, it really sounds fascinating.
It is fascinating.
Just give me a recap when it's over, Ralph.
It's 6 seasons, so he'll be plowing through.
Just watch one.
I'm not watching it. So okay, I'm not.
Well, Ralph, why don't you cut in a clip?
I think I'll put a clip in.
Maybe of the guy with the elephant tattoo.
That was a good looking dude. That was a good looking dude.
There you go.
There's a lot of uncircumcised people in the world too. I didn't realize that. But
well, it's England,
that's true. And it's not about their teeth; it's about their abs and their Johnsons.
Yeah, you see their teeth eventually, and then once every round she or he has to eliminate one person, and then you get to the point where there's only a couple people left, and then the person who's dating leaves and comes back completely naked.
They come back naked.
Has her body reviewed,
or his body
reviewed by the people they're dating, and then they pick one and they go.
And it's a lot of good puns. A lot of good puns about penis.
Are they good?
And all that.
I don't think they're good.
Well,
the host is really awful.
It's a pun good. A pun is really generally not good, but these are puns. They're using a lot of puns.
No, I get it. Sure.
I think Rose might like it.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'll recommend it to her. Definitely.
Yeah, where does she go?
No drugs on this show, just dicks.
Perfectly.
So if you had to balance the two, which would you prefer?
You are really on the sexual fence, man. You are on the sexual fence, Ralph.
No, you got to watch it. All right. Okay.
Listen,
So
after
next,
that, please subscribe, hit the notification button, hit the like
why
button.
would I don't know why you wouldn't.
I don't
at this
even know
point.
why I'm saying that now, but whatever.
All right. So we don't have to spin the wheel. Sean is bringing an actual courtroom drama
Yeah, a great
The Verdict,
to
one of
the
them.
show
A
called The Verdict.
great Paul Newman performance.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
That's actually a film. I'm glad we did this series because it was a film I've actually been wanting to watch again.
It's a,
So I'd
it's a
watch some
beauty.
other
And I've been
Paul
reading
Newman
a book
films.
by William Goldman, I think Confessions of a Screenwriter, and he does a whole chapter on The Verdict. So I may read it again.
You'll
on the
bring
train.
some
We'll see.
insight,
I might bring a little of
unlike
William,
any other show.
of William Goldman's insights, not even my insights.
Oh,
So
that's okay.
Well, he's a genius, William
he is a
Goldman.
genius. He
And
was
he's a
genius.
great writer.
You should.
That's
And I read his novels,
subscribe
too.
to his podcast.
Right.
And also, our dear
he's dead.
viewers,
His old
our dear
stuff.
viewers, you're probably wondering after we finish The Verdict, what are we going to do next? What is the theme of our next episode? So email John because he collects all the
Racer
stuff that we're
movies.
going to do, and give him some ideas, and then we'll end up watching Speed Racer.
Yeah, I don't know what what we're gonna do for the next set, but maybe we'll figure something out. You guys have a week to think about it.
That's why we have text messaging.
There you go.
As long as it has nudity and drugs, John will be happy with it.
Yeah.
So
So, all right, everybody.
As long as the Orioles win.
I'm sorry about the Orioles. It's top of the seventh, 7-1.
It was a
Rangers.
great year, you guys.
Can I tell you
don't-
something,
I
Ralph?
think it's over.
I looked
Ralph,
at
can I
Ralph,
tell you
Sean, and
something?
Chris's
Of course,
eyes,
Sean.
and I knew they'd never
You're
be the
watching it
same.
on Google Watch or whatever.
I'm watching it on
Google
YouTube
Watch?
TV, but yeah.
You are about 8 to 10 seconds ahead of me. Because you'll say someone hit the home run. And I'm looking. You're like, it's 7-1. I'm looking up. It's still 6-1.
Hey, Ralph, we still
and
got
then
the
the ball
Patriots,
goes
though.
out.
Catonsville, Pete McDermott is probably doing this right now. He's very upset. Yeah, Patriots are doing well this year, John.
Oh, man,
It's
I'm
awesome.
telling you what. That's a fun team
What a
to
team.
watch.
That's a juggernaut. So, all right,
Wait a minute,
everybody,
are they going
look.
to fire Belichick?
No.
They want it.
maybe.
I mean, they did a poll. 60% want him fired.
But this Evaldi's pitching well tonight. I have to
He's
say.
great.
He used to play in the Red Sox, too.
Sox should never have gotten rid of him.
I know. So, all right. Baltimore people, sorry. I think it might be over,
Yeah.
Chris.
Hey,
I
you
think
know
it's
what? You had a
over.
great run, man. Don't beat them up
Yeah.
too much. They had a great
Page
run.
62.
We're very proud. Very
Page
proud.
62, Story Night. I'm just
I
gonna
looked
say that.
into Ralph's eyes and saw something I'd never seen before.
No, John's
a deep
eyes.
well of sadness,
Right.
a triangle of sadness, because he knew his
This
life
is
would
story
never be the
story night.
same.
So,
And Chris,
Have a good-
who's been paying attention for about 10% of this show while
That's
watching
not
the
true. I actually I'll be honest with you. This one I've actually paid all attention to.
other than the other ones? What are you saying? What the hell was that?
one.
That was weird.
The one that 78 people watch?
as opposed to the one where we were talking about the movie that I just really time with.
It
Took
you
five years to
sittings
watch,
finish.
right?
Dude, that movie was not good.
All right.
Let's be real. Anyway,
Luckily, nobody's watching the show to hear that, so we're good.
yeah.
All right, have a
Yeah,
good
I
week.
will let
Have a
guys-
good week.
See
Enjoy
you
the
all
verdict.
later.
guys,
We'll see you guys
Verdict.
next week.
Forward to it. Never seen it actually.
Oh,
You've
good.
never seen the
Oh,
verdict?
excellent.
No, so I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Can't wait for you to see it.
Enjoy it. Okay.
Enjoy.
All right,
guys.
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 A lot of court filings.
Good arbitration.